What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's Yuvia and Voldemort, who we will bother very, very briefly. Here he is, as always. He's here in my video. You just can't see him today. And he just started to complain, so we will let him get back to doing whatever he was doing. And yeah, so today I am doing a video inspired by the Currently Reading podcast, and it is a podcast that I discovered, I want to say about 2 months ago, around there, yeah. And I'm really enjoying it, and I look forward to listening to it every week. So the Currently Reading podcast, it's, I want to say 4 or 5 different women, and they do co-hosting duty. So each week it's different hosts, and it never changes in terms of they always talk about what they're currently reading or what they recently finished, and then they'll go into different book topics. So the way I discovered it is through Apple Podcasts, and my Apple Podcast was like at the very, very bottom, there's like an episodes you may like or shows you may like section. And the episode they actually suggested for me from the Currently Reading podcast was the episode in which they discussed either books or series or authors that you could check out if you were upset with J.K. Rowling, which I am very, very upset about that. Very upset. So it was like the perfect introductory episode for me, and I've just been listening to it recently, so go check it out. And yeah, so moving on to what I'm currently reading. Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. This was my September book of the month pick, and I have quite a ways to go. It's a pretty thick nonfiction book, but it is incredibly fascinating. So many things of our history that I had no idea about, and it's just one of those dark corners of the United States history that is kind of brushed under the rug and no one really knows. And I am under the opinion that we need to learn every single aspect of our history, good and bad, especially the bad, so we can grow and become even better. And it currently feels like I'm in the minority in that. Hopefully I'm not, but so it's very, very fascinating. Highly, highly recommend it. I'm about a third of the way through, so check it out. I am also currently rereading Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I was not a huge fan of Fangirl when I read it. I liked it okay. I didn't really like Kath's fan fiction stories. I didn't really like switching to that. I wish it had kind of just focused on Kath and her college adventures. So I decided to give it a reread because on my current reading challenge, it's a book about or involving social media, and so I chose that one to fill in that category of my challenge. And I will let you know what I think because I just started rereading it. I'm only in the first 20 pages in, and I liked it initially, and then as it went on, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, move on. So we'll see how I feel as the book progresses. I finished reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I just finished reading that one last week. Yeah, it was last week. And I have to say, I think it's proving that fantasy is another genre that's not really for me. I don't hate it, but a lot of the fantasy books that I have read, I have either just thought they were okay or I didn't really like. This one was just okay for me. I didn't hate it, but it's not something that makes me want to pick up the next book in the series or check out even more fantasy novels along that same vein. So I don't hate fantasy, not like I will continue reading fantasy novels. It's not like sci-fi, which I just sci-fi is really not, I cannot do sci-fi. But fantasy I will keep checking out, and fantasy tends to be a lot more hit and miss for me. So that's my thought on that. And so now I'm going to move on to books. If I could go back in time, a book I would give to read to my younger self. This can be any book that was published at any point in time. And so if I could give myself a book from the future and go back in time and give it to my high school self, I would definitely choose I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erika Sanchez. That book, for me, was just, as a first generation American of Mexican descent, my mom is not as strict, is not as hardcore as the mom in the book, but I could still relate to the mother and daughter dynamic in that book a lot. And reading it, I was like, you know what? I get it a little bit more. Why she acted the way she did, why she raised me the way she did. Again, no complaints against my mom, but it was just one of those, as a teenager, going through those teenage years with my mom. It was definitely something that I wish I had read at that point of time, because I feel I would have related to her a lot sooner than I did. So that is it for this video. Let me know if you liked this currently reading inspired style of vlog, book review, book video, whatever this is called. Just let me know, and let me know what you would like to see in the future. Check out Currently Reading on wherever you check out your podcasts. I'm pretty sure I know for sure they're on Podbean and Apple Podcasts. Anyway, bye.